Some eyebrow-raising comments about Sarah Palin and gays in the military.
And he'd be quite good at it.
What do you think is going to happen to the Republican Party? You sounded concerned then, and you always have been concerned about certain aspects of your party. Do you think it's moving in the right direction?
We don't know yet. I don't know yet. I think that in the latter months of the campaign, the party moved further to the right. Governor Palin, to some extent, pushed the party more to the right. And I think she had something of a polarizing effect when she talked about small-town values are good. Well, most of us don't live in small towns, and I was raised in the South Bronx, and there's nothing wrong with my value system from the South Bronx. And when they came to Virginia and said, you know, the southern part of Virginia is good, but the northern part of Virginia is bad. The only problem with that is there are more votes in the northern part of Virginia than there are in the southern part of Virginia. So that doesn't work. But it was that attempt on the part of the party to use polarization for political advantage that I think backfired. And I think the party has to take a hard look at itself. There's nothing wrong with being conservative. There's nothing wrong with having socially conservative views. I don't object to that. But if the party wants to have a future in this country, it has to face some realities. In another 20 years, the majority in this country will be the minority. Pull up by your bootstraps and no more welfare and all these sorts of loaded statements. The Republican Party has to now start listening to the African-American community and the Hispanic and Asian and other minority communities and see what's in their hearts and minds, and not just try to influence them by Republican principles and dogma. And so I think the party has to stop shouting at the world and at the country. I think the party has to take a hard look at itself.
Let me ask you about one social issue that you were associated with, which was Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the policy toward gay people being in the military openly. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the country has moved to a place where we could reevaluate Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
We definitely should reevaluate it. It's been 15 years since we put in Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which was a policy that became a law. I didn't want it to become a law, but it became a law. Congress felt that strongly about it. But it's been 15 years, and attitudes have changed. And so I think it is time for the Congress, since it is their law, to have a full review of it, and I'm quite sure that's what President-elect Obama will want to do.
All right, when it comes to Colin Powell's politics, Rush Limbaugh has weighed in, and Dick Cheney has put in his 2 cents as well.
Well, if I had to choose in terms of being a Republican, I'd go with Rush Limbaugh, I think. My take on it was Colin had already left the party. I didn't know he was still a Republican.
Well, that was last week. Now, Colin Powell, the former U.S. Secretary of State, answers the question himself. Is he still a Republican? The former Secretary of State on CBS earlier today.
Rush will not get his wish. And Mr. Cheney was misinformed. I am still a Republican. And I'd like to point out that in the course of my 50 years of voting for presidents, I have voted for the person I thought was best qualified at that time to lead the nation. Last year, I thought it was President now Barack Obama. For the previous 20 years, I voted solidly for Republican candidate.
Powell also said the GOP needs to be more inclusive these days and build its base, not just rest on it.
It is obviously important to all of us that homosexual marriage does not become the law of the land. Let me tell you that for every logical argument we can bring to show that it's a very bad idea, the other side, spreading the stain of secular socialism, will bring 3 better arguments that it's a very good idea, and then it's simply our argument against theirs.
It turns out that you have to go into rehab if you use the word faggot. So